What if the show that built an entire reality TV empire is quietly falling apart behind the scenes, and the stars already know it is ending? Meri Brown is now searching for a brand new reality show, and what she just revealed could change everything about the future of Sister Wives. Stay with me because the truth behind this story is shocking, and if you love real behind-the-scenes drama, make sure to subscribe right now because this channel exposes the stories everyone else misses. Meri Brown is once again stirring conversation about the future of Sister Wives, and this time the comments did not come from a dramatic television moment or an official network announcement, but instead from a casual conversation during her Friday Night with Friends livestream, where she unexpectedly revealed that she has started exploring new possibilities in reality television. And that simple comment has sparked a wave of speculation, because when someone who has been part of a long-running show suddenly begins talking about new television opportunities, people naturally start wondering if the current chapter is quietly coming to an end. Meri even made a surprising remark that caught many viewers off guard when she joked that she would love to become something like the Golden Widow, a playful concept that sounds similar to the style of older age dating shows where someone searches for love later in life. And although she mentioned it with a sense of humor, the idea still left viewers asking whether audiences would actually tune in to watch Meri lead her own reality dating story, because shows built around romance usually depend heavily on a main character who connects instantly with the audience, someone people feel excited to watch week after week. And while Meri certainly has a complicated emotional history that could provide depth to a television story, many viewers are not sure whether she would create the level of excitement, intrigue, or drama that typically drives a successful reality dating series. However, even if that specific idea never happens, Meri appears determined to keep building new opportunities for herself, and she has already taken action by launching yet another project with her close friend, Jen. The two recently started a speed dating company where they plan to host events designed to help singles meet in person in a structured social setting. And this venture joins a long list of businesses Meri has experimented with over the years, including the historic inn she owns, which she has been converting into an event space for retreats, gatherings, and celebrations. And alongside that, she continues to run personal growth experiences through her Worthy Up program, where participants attend special workshops and retreats that focus on self-development and personal reflection, while she also maintains partnerships that involve selling clothing and other lifestyle products online, which shows that Meri has been steadily building multiple streams of income beyond the television world. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that these efforts are not random experiments, but part of a larger strategy to prepare for a future where the show that introduced her to millions of viewers might not continue forever. At the same time, Meri has also been speaking more openly about her personal identity and how she no longer considers herself part of the polygamous lifestyle that defined the original premise of Sister Wives. She has explained that she does not see herself as a sister wife anymore, and that she has moved on from that chapter of her life, which naturally raises a bigger question. If one of the original members of the family now says she no longer identifies with the very concept that built the show, then what does that mean for the future of the series itself? The entire program was originally created to give viewers a window into the daily life of a plural marriage family and the unique dynamics that came with sharing a husband and raising children together across multiple households. Audiences were curious about how the relationships worked, how the wives interacted with each other, and how the family tried to maintain harmony despite the complicated emotional challenges that came with such an arrangement. But over time, that original structure slowly began to unravel as personal differences grew stronger and individual priorities changed, eventually leading to separations, new relationships, and completely separate living situations. And today, the reality is that the family no longer functions as a single connected household, which has dramatically changed the tone of the show. Because instead of watching one large family navigate life together, viewers are now following several individual storylines that rarely intersect with each other. And while personal growth and independence are positive developments for the people involved, they also remove the central tension that once kept audiences deeply invested in the narrative. because the fascination originally came from seeing how multiple spouses managed the complexities of sharing one partner and maintaining family unity. But now that most of the wives have moved on, the premise that made the series unique has largely disappeared, and this shift has started to appear in the ratings as well, because recent seasons have seen a noticeable drop in viewership compared with the dramatic highs that occurred when major relationship changes first happened during those earlier turning points. During those earlier turning points, millions of viewers tuned in each week, eager to witness the emotional fallout and understand how the family would adapt. But as the story moves further away from that original conflict, some viewers have begun losing interest, particularly when the new episodes focus on events that already happened long before they appear on television, due to the long production timelines that are common in reality programming. And another factor influencing audience reactions is the growing awareness among viewers that not everything presented on the show unfolded exactly the way it appeared on screen. Over the years, several family members have hinted that producers sometimes shaped storylines or encouraged certain conversations to create clearer narratives for television, which is not unusual in reality programming. But when those details become more widely discussed, it can change how audiences interpret what they are watching. Some viewers begin to question whether the emotional moments were completely authentic, while others simply feel less connected to the story once they realize that parts of it may have been guided by production choices rather than natural events. And this combination of shifting family dynamics, declining ratings, and increasing skepticism from viewers creates an uncertain environment for the future of the series. Yet despite these challenges, the show still exists, largely because of the financial structure behind reality television. Unscripted programs are generally far less expensive to produce than scripted dramas or comedies, meaning they can remain profitable even with smaller audiences. And as long as a network continues to earn more money from advertising and distribution than it spends producing the episodes, there is little immediate incentive to cancel the show, especially when it already has an established fan base that continues to watch. However, from the perspective of the cast members themselves, the situation looks slightly different, because many of them have spent years relying on the show as a primary source of income, which means they now face an important moment of transition where they must begin preparing for a future where those television paychecks may not continue forever. And this reality explains why so many of them are actively developing side businesses, launching personal brands, writing books, hosting events, or promoting products online. These ventures provide financial stability while also giving them a platform to remain connected with the audience that has followed their lives for more than a decade. And in Meri's case, her recent comments about new reality television possibilities may simply reflect a practical understanding that the entertainment industry constantly evolves, and that staying visible often requires adapting to new formats, new ideas, and new opportunities. But regardless of whether her Golden Widow idea ever becomes reality, the fact that she is openly discussing life beyond Sister Wives suggests that even the original cast members recognize that the show, which once seemed like it might continue indefinitely, could now be approaching a natural turning point where the story that captivated viewers for years gradually transitions into its final phase, leaving everyone involved to decide what the next chapter of their lives will look like once the cameras eventually stop rolling. As the conversation about the future of the series continues to grow, another layer of uncertainty begins to emerge, because the reality is that the show now exists in a completely different environment than when it first started years ago, when audiences were fascinated by the idea of a large polygamous family trying to navigate everyday life together. And at that time, the curiosity alone was powerful enough to pull millions of viewers to their screens every week, because people wanted to understand how such a complicated household could function, how the wives managed their relationships with each other, and how the husband balanced the emotional responsibilities that came with multiple marriages. But over time, that sense of curiosity slowly transformed into something else, because the family dynamics began to shift dramatically, and the original unity that once defined the series started to dissolve as individual voices grew stronger and personal independence became more important than maintaining the shared structure that once held everyone together. And as each wife began focusing on her own path, the central narrative that once drove the show began to fragment into separate stories that rarely intersect with one another, which has created a situation where viewers are no longer watching a single family journey, but instead following several independent lives unfolding in parallel. And while that transformation may reflect genuine personal growth for the individuals involved, it also creates a challenge for a television format that was built around the interactions, tensions, and negotiations between multiple partners living within the same marriage structure. Because without those interactions, the dramatic engine that once powered the series naturally slows down, and audiences who originally tuned in for the complex relationship dynamics may now find themselves watching quieter moments of everyday life that do not always carry the same emotional intensity that once kept them returning every week. And this shift has not gone unnoticed among viewers, many of whom openly discuss how the show now feels less connected to its original premise, especially as more family members publicly explain that they no longer identify with the polygamous lifestyle that defined the program in the beginning. When Meri spoke about no longer seeing herself as a sister wife, it highlighted a deeper reality that the foundation of the show has fundamentally changed, because if the people at the center of the story are no longer living the lifestyle the series was built to explore, then the narrative must either evolve into something new or slowly reach its natural conclusion. And this is where the financial reality behind the scenes becomes especially important, because the network responsible for producing the show continues to evaluate whether the series still serves a purpose within its programming lineup. Unscripted television remains attractive to networks because it costs far less to produce than scripted series, meaning even modest ratings can still generate profit when advertising revenue and distribution deals are taken into account. And for that reason, many reality programs continue running long after their cultural peak, simply because they remain financially efficient. However, there are additional factors now influencing the future of the entertainment industry, including major corporate changes affecting large media companies. The parent company behind the network has been navigating financial pressure, restructuring efforts, and shifting strategies as traditional cable television faces declining audiences, while streaming platforms reshape how people watch content. And these larger industry trends create an environment where every long-running show is eventually re-evaluated, not only based on its ratings, but also on how well it fits into the evolving business model of modern media. And while no official decision has been announced regarding the long-term future of the series, the combination of declining viewership, changing family dynamics, and broader corporate challenges creates a sense that the program may be approaching an important crossroads. At the same time, the individuals whose lives built the show are quietly preparing for what comes next, each of them exploring different opportunities that could sustain their public presence and financial stability once the cameras eventually step away. Christine has been expanding her activities through promotional events, travel experiences, and projects connected to her personal story, while Janelle has been focusing on creating a new home and developing programs that reflect her interests in personal growth and coaching. And Meri continues experimenting with new ventures, including events, retreats, and potential television ideas that might allow her to remain visible in the entertainment world while also promoting her independent brand. And these efforts suggest that everyone involved understands the importance of building a life beyond the show, because reality television fame can be powerful, but it is rarely permanent, and those who adapt early often find greater success in the years that follow. Yet, despite all the uncertainty surrounding the future of the series, the continued demand for reality content suggests it may find a new form or even spawn several spin-off projects that highlight the individual journeys of those involved. So the big question now is simple. Is this the quiet ending of Sister Wives, or just the beginning of an even bigger reality TV twist? The truth may be closer than anyone expected. And if you want the real updates and behind-the-scenes stories before anyone else, make sure you subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because the next reveal might change everything. So, the series, The Story of the Brown Family, still holds a unique place in the history of reality television because very few programs have documented such a long and complicated transformation from unity to separation, while millions of viewers watched along the way. The show began as an attempt to present a version of plural marriage that the family believed could be understood by a broader audience. And over time, it evolved into a deeply personal chronicle of emotional struggles, independence, personal growth, and shifting relationships. And in many ways, the most compelling chapter may actually be unfolding now, not the period when the family lived together under one belief system, but the period when each individual began redefining what happiness, independence, and identity truly meant for them outside that structure. Viewers who once watched for the unusual family dynamic are now witnessing something different: the process of people rebuilding their lives after leaving a system that shaped them for decades. And that transformation carries its own kind of emotional weight, because it raises questions about resilience, self-discovery, and the courage required to step away from long-established expectations and create a completely new path forward. And as audiences continue discussing whether the show should end, reinvent itself, or transition into something entirely new, the truth is that the answer may ultimately depend on the same factors that have always driven reality television: audience curiosity, personal storytelling, and the ability to capture moments of genuine human change. And while some viewers may feel that the original premise has already run its course, others remain interested in seeing how the final chapters of this long story unfold.